Welcome to the new video of NeuroPhilos. Get ready to dive into a gripping tale that will leave you breathless, thinking, and inspired. Whether you're here for the mystery, the drama, or the unexpected twists, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe so you never miss another powerful story. Let's begin **** discipline as war. From the moment you learned to walk, the world has been feeding you a pleasant lie. Teachers, parents, coaches, and every self-help guru in the marketplace sold you a polished, digestible version of discipline, something you could swallow without choking. They told you discipline was simply a matter of willpower, that if you tried harder when you felt lazy, if you woke up earlier, made to-do lists, and organized your desk, you could master your life. They made it sound as if discipline were a friendly companion, a smiling coach with a clipboard, when in truth it is a cold-blooded commander with no patience for weakness. They made it sound as if discipline could be built in the sunshine, when in truth it is hammered into place in the dark, in silence. In moments when no one is watching, the truth is brutal. Discipline is not a hobby, not a morning routine you flirt with on days when you're inspired. Discipline is war, an internal war. And in this war, you are both the commander and the battlefield. Either you govern your mind with the precision of a prince leading his army, or you will be crushed by your own weaknesses. Most people live like rotting cities, once proud structures now invaded by weeds, rats, and looters. The walls have collapsed. The gates are gone. The streets are ruled by impulses and momentary cravings. They are sabotaged from within, not by foreign invaders, but by their own disorganization and laziness. They surrender at the first temptation, a distraction, a fleeting comfort, an easy escape from discomfort. They confuse small bursts of motivation for true strength. They believe a good mood is a sign of readiness, and when that mood fades, they quit. They think discipline is a matter of inspiration, not of strategy. They have no understanding of the fact that without discipline, there is no freedom. Without discipline, there is no real victory. Only temporary bursts of progress that vanish in the next storm. Niccolò Machiavelli, one of the most misunderstood thinkers in history, knew this with a clarity that still makes people uncomfortable. While others preached positivity and blind faith in oneself, Machiavelli stripped away illusions. He studied human nature not as a poet, but as a surgeon with cold, precise cuts. He knew the world does not reward good intentions. It rewards results. And results come to the disciplined, not the well-meaning. For Machiavelli, discipline was not a moral decoration. It was not about being virtuous, admirable, or liked. It was survival. He understood that without discipline, the king and the peasant share the same fate, ruin, and here lies the cruelest truth. The moment you fail to govern yourself, you hand over the keys to your destiny to someone else. You surrender your throne to an invader. That invader may not come in the form of a man with a sword. It may be a moment of fear. It may be your own laziness, It may be the pull of comfort when you know discomfort is the only road to victory. Life, like a throne, is never empty. Either you occupy it with absolute dominion, or it will be occupied by forces that do not serve you. If you think discipline means waking up early only when you feel motivated, forget it. If you think wanting something badly enough will make you stand firm when it gets hard, forget it. If you think you can rely on the warmth of inspiration instead of the cold steel of structure, this philosophy is not for you. This is not comfortable advice, This is not a slogan for your wall. This is a call to take brutal responsibility for yourself, to shape yourself as a craftsman shapes a sword through fire, pressure, and relentless refinement. True discipline demands constant vigilance. It demands strategy. It demands that you build an internal fortress where luck has no influence, where chaos finds no cracks. It is the unyielding will to stand your ground when the storm comes, to hold your line when the enemy, fear, doubt, temptation throws everything it has at you. This is why Machiavelli treated discipline as a state secret, something essential. For power, without it, kingdoms collapse. Without it, armies scatter. Without it, individuals break. And you must understand, Machiavelli was not speaking only to rulers or generals. He was speaking to anyone who dares to master their own fate. Whether you are leading a nation or leading your own life, the law is the same, discipline or ruin. Think about it. How many times have you failed? Not because you lacked talent, but because you lacked control. How many promises have you made to yourself and then abandoned when it got hard? How many battles in your life have you lost before they even began because you allowed fear or fatigue to dictate your actions? Machiavelli would tell you that these failures are not due to bad luck, bad timing, or bad circumstances. They are due to a failure of governance, a failure to rule your own territory. Your mind is your kingdom. Your habits are your soldiers. Your decisions are your strategies. If you do not govern them with strength and precision, you will be overthrown, not by an enemy at the gates, but by betrayal from within. And here is the part most people will not face. There is no neutral ground. You are either in control, or you are being controlled. You are either the prince, or you are the prisoner. You cannot drift in the middle. Every day you are either building your fortress or allowing it to decay. So understand this, discipline is not about feeling ready. It is not about feeling confident. It is not about feeling anything. It is about doing what must be done regardless of how you feel. It is about acting when the body aches, when the mind resists, when the excuses line up like an army at your door. Because if you don't, chaos will rule you. And chaos has no loyalty, no mercy, no interest in your potential. Chaos will strip you down to nothing and leave you blaming luck, circumstances, or other people, anything but your own lack of command. If you are reading this and still hoping for a shortcut, still looking for a softer truth, close this book now. This is not for those seeking comfort. This is for those ready to live as commanders of their own mind. To take the throne inside themselves and defend it without apology. The war has already begun. The only question is whether you will fight it or be conquered. The fortress within. If discipline is war, then your mind is the fortress that must never fall. Machiavelli understood that no ruler, no general, and no citizen could withstand the storms of life without walls strong enough to hold back both external enemies and internal decay. These walls are not built of stone. They are made of habits, self-control, and an unshakable structure that resists both chaos and temptation. He wrote of cities and armies. But he was also speaking of the individual human being. In his eyes, the condition of a city was nothing more than a reflection of the condition of the ruler's mind. A strong, disciplined leader produced order. A weak, distracted one invited ruin. The same is true for you. Your outer life is the mirror of your inner fortress, the weak prince and the enemy within. Undisciplined ruler is a danger to himself before he is a danger to anyone else. Machiavelli warned that a prince who cannot control his own impulses is more destructive than any invading army. Why? Because the enemy outside must first break through the gates, but the enemy inside can open them from within. An uncontrolled temper, a burst of fear, an act of vanity, these are the cracks in your walls. Left unchecked, they spread until the whole structure collapses. And when collapse comes, it's swift. A kingdom does not crumble slowly in public. It collapses suddenly after years of silent erosion. So it is with the individual. Most people don't lose their dreams in a single dramatic failure. They lose them quietly, bit by bit, in the form of skipped commitments, ignored responsibilities, and surrendered battles with themselves. Every missed opportunity, every broken promise, every compromise with weakness is another brick removed from the wall. The daily siege your life is under constant siege. The enemy does not always arrive with banners and drums. It comes disguised. As comfort, as distraction, as the seductive voice telling you, rest, you've done enough. This is how most fortresses fall, not to an overwhelming attack, but to a slow surrender from the inside. Machiavelli would tell you that discipline is the daily act of inspection, of walking the walls of your mind, looking for weaknesses before the enemy finds them. It is repairing cracks the moment you see them. It is punishing negligence without hesitation. You cannot afford to wait until crisis strikes. By then, it's too late. When the flood comes, you do not build dikes. You survive with the ones you've already built. In life, as in war, your survival is determined by what you prepared for when all seemed calm. Walls built of habits. What are the stones of your mental fortress? They are your routines, your repeated, disciplined actions. Every time you act in alignment with your higher goals, you lay another stone. Every time you resist temptation, you reinforce a gate. Every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you strengthen the foundation. But here is where most fail. They think a fortress can be built in a week. They treat discipline like a project with an end date. Machiavelli knew better. Maintenance never stops. The moment you think the work is finished, you have already begun to lose. Imagine a medieval city that stops repairing its walls because no enemy is in sight. The first storm, the first raiders, the first restless mob, and the city is lost. That is how most people live. They keep their discipline only until things are good enough, and then they coast, not realizing they've already started. The slow march toward collapse. The prince of your own territory, your mind, is your territory. Your thoughts are your citizens. Your habits are your soldiers. And like any ruler, you must ensure they are fed, trained, and loyal. But loyalty is not built on empty words. It is built through consistent command. If your soldiers see you break your own rules, they will stop obeying. If your citizens see you tolerate disorder, they will rebel. And if your thoughts see you surrender to every impulse, they will begin to govern themselves, leading to chaos. Machiavelli's brilliance lay in understanding that governance is not occasional, it is constant. If you want authority over your mind, you must hold it every hour of every day. You cannot govern only when it's convenient. Every stone matters, one of the most dangerous illusions people believe is that small failures don't matter. I'll skip today's training, but I'll get back to it tomorrow. I'll break my diet this weekend, but I'll start again Monday. This is the language of collapse. Every small failure is a gap in the wall. Maybe the enemy cannot fit through yet, but it will. And when it does, it will not be a single enemy. It will be an army. The mind remembers every time you betray yourself. Each time you choose comfort over commitment, you train your thoughts to obey weakness. Soon, even when you want to act, your mind will resist because it has learned that your commands are not serious. Victory through relentless order for Machiavelli. A disciplined city or army was unstoppable, not because it had the most soldiers, but because it had the most order. The same applies to your inner world. You do not need 1,000 scattered ambitions. You need a few strong, trained, and obedient thoughts, ones that execute without hesitation. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need to wait for inspiration. You need a system of action that functions whether you feel strong or not. This is why the undisciplined envy the disciplined, not because they lack the ability, but because they lack the structure to direct it. A fortress is not built of good intentions. It is built of relentless, often boring, daily maintenance. The cold reality here is the truth that separates commanders from the conquered. Discipline will often feel unpleasant. It will feel restrictive. It will demand sacrifice when you least want to give it. It will tell you no when every part of you screams yes. But this is the cost of security. This is the price of sovereignty over your own life. A ruler who lets his gates remain open because closing them feels inconvenient will not rule for long. When you refuse discipline, you are not choosing freedom. You are choosing to be ruled by whatever force is stronger than you in the moment: emotion, temptation, fear, or the will of others. Your fortress or your prison there is a paradox here. A fortress that protects you from enemies can also become a prison if you misunderstand it. Discipline is not meant to keep you locked inside a small life. It is meant to secure your ability to act boldly without fear of collapse. It is not a cage. It is the wall that lets you roam freely without being destroyed. The difference is in how you use it. If you build your walls to hide from the world, you will live as a prisoner. If you build them to guard your strength, you will live as a prince. Machiavelli's message still cuts deep centuries later. The stability of any state, army, or person is nothing more than the reflection of their internal order. Without it, chaos will take your throne. With it, you can withstand storms that crush others. The question is not whether the enemy will come. The question is whether you will still be standing when it does. Your answer will depend on the walls you've built long before the first attack. Virtù and Fortuna. Machiavelli did not believe in a kind and balanced universe. He did not dress fate in robes of justice or pretend that the good were rewarded and the wicked punished. No, in his eyes, fate was a flood, blind, relentless, and entirely indifferent to your dreams. This flood, which he called Fortuna, sweeps away the unprepared. It drowns the foolish who build their lives on soft ground. It destroys not just the weak, but also the strong who mistake luck for permanence. Fortune, he warned, is a fickle mistress. She smiles at the bold but has no loyalty. She can abandon you in an instant. And yet, Machiavelli did not counsel despair. He offered a weapon against this chaos, virtù. What virtù really means here is where most people misunderstand him. They hear virtue and think morality. They think kindness, honesty, charity. That is not what Machiavelli meant. His virtù was not about goodness. It was about power. It was the inner force to shape circumstances rather than be shaped by them. Virtù is the ability to stand when everything else crumbles. It is the skill to adapt instantly to changing conditions. It is the refusal to let fortune decide your fate. In other words, virtù is discipline in motion. Without virtù, the flood will take you. With it, you can redirect the water, bend it, even use it to your advantage. The flood and the Dixon, the Prince Machiavelli compares fortune to a raging river. When calm, it can be managed. When enraged, it floods fields, topples trees, sweeps away homes. Everyone flees from it. Everyone yields to its fury. And here is the key. Wise men take precautions in times of calm. They build dikes and barriers before the storm, so that when the water rises, it cannot sweep them away. This is the essence of virtù preparation before the crisis. It is the understanding that you cannot control the flood itself, but you can control how ready you are when it comes. Those without virtue live in cycles of disaster. They make no preparation. They drift in good times, and when misfortune strikes, they are shocked, broken, and begging for rescue. Then, when luck returns, they forget the lesson and remain exposed. Those with virtue live differently. They use good times to strengthen themselves. They never trust fortune, so they rely on their own discipline. When the flood comes, they don't run, they stand. 'Cause their dikes hold, luck is not your aliwan. Of the greatest modern illusions is the belief that luck will eventually deliver success if you simply wait long enough. People cling to this idea because it absolves them of responsibility. They think, if I just hang on, something good will happen. Machiavelli would call this what it is: weakness disguised as hope. Fortune does not reward those who wait. It rewards those who prepare. If you are not strong enough to govern your life, chance will govern it for you. And chance is merciless. It will hand your opportunities to someone else. It will turn the tide against you without warning. It will take from you what you did not protect. This is why virtue must be cultivated relentlessly. You cannot depend on luck to save you. You must make yourself so prepared, so capable, that luck becomes irrelevant. And if fortune does happen to favor you, you will know how to use her, not worship her. The discipline behind Virtù and Fortuna does not emerge from wishful thinking. It is built in the same way a soldier's skill is built, through hard, repetitive, disciplined training. You train yourself to act without hesitation when the moment comes. You train yourself to adapt when the plan changes. You train yourself to see opportunity where others see only disaster. Virtue means you can strike while others freeze, because you have rehearsed the act of decisiveness. You can endure when others collapse, because you have made hardship your ally in advance. Discipline is the soil in which virtue grows. Without the daily grind of self-command, the concept remains empty, a word you admire instead of a weapon. You wield. Shaping the storm. Fortuna will always bring storms. You cannot wish them away. But with virtue, you can shape their impact. Think of a commander on the battlefield who knows the terrain. He cannot stop the rain, but he can move his troops to higher ground. He cannot stop the fog, but he can use it to mask his advance. Fortune is the weather, unpredictable and uncontrollable. Virtue is the commander who refuses to let the weather decide the war. This is the difference between those who survive and those who are erased from history. The survivors are not the ones who had the most favorable conditions. They are the ones who refuse to be defined by conditions at all. Your life as a kingdom. Picture your life as a kingdom. Fortune will bring both prosperity and famine, both safety and invasion. Without virtue, your kingdom's fate will swing wildly with the seasons. One good harvest and you celebrate. One bad harvest and you collapse. With virtue, you store grain. During abundance, you train soldiers in peacetime. You build alliances when things are calm. You prepare in such a way that when misfortune comes, and it always comes, you are not merely surviving, but ready to expand, to strike, to grow. While others fall, breaking the illusion of timing, how many times have you delayed action, waiting for the right moment? How many times have you told yourself the stars need to align before you make your move? Machiavelli would laugh at this. He would tell you the right moment does not exist. It is made. It is forced. It is carved out by those who will not wait. For permission from the heavens, virtue is acting decisively in imperfect conditions. It is building even when the materials are scarce. It is striking even when the outcome is uncertain. Waiting for perfect conditions is not strategy. It is surrender disguised as patience. The war between virtue and fortuna in Machiavelli's philosophy. Virtue and fortuna are locked in constant battle. Discipline, strength, and strategic cunning stand on one side. Chaos, unpredictability, and blind luck stand on the other. You cannot destroy Fortuna. She will always exist, but you can reduce her power over you. You can make her serve you instead of rule you. How? By becoming the kind of person who is ready at all times. By refusing to waste seasons of calm. By treating every day as preparation for the day the flood comes. Fortuna's weakness, here's the secret. Fortuna's power lies in surprise. She thrives on catching you unprepared. When you are ready, she is weakened. When your walls are strong, her floodwaters find no path in. This is why virtue is such a threat to her. A man of virtue can turn even bad fortune into advantage. He can see opportunity in loss, strategy in defeat. He does not curse the storm. He adjusts his sails. Your marching orders, understand this. Virtue is not built in moments of crisis. It is built now, in the quiet, when you think you are safe. It is built in the mornings you do not skip, in the commitments you do not break, in the temptations you refuse. When the flood comes, it will be too late to start building. Either the walls will be there, or they won't. Either you will command the moment, or you will be swept away like the rest. Machiavelli's challenge is clear. Stop living as a victim of fortune. Stop handing your destiny to luck. Build the discipline that makes virtue inevitable. Build it so well that when Fortuna comes smiling or raging, you can meet her without fear. The modern lie about discipline. In the modern world, the word discipline has been hijacked. It has been stripped of its teeth, wrapped in pastel colors, and sold as a lifestyle accessory. You see it on coffee mugs, Instagram quotes, and productivity apps. It has been turned into a brand, something you can install with the right habit tracker or the right YouTube morning routine. This is the great modern lie, that discipline is easy, that it can be made comfortable, that you can have it without pain. Machiavelli, if he were alive today, would laugh. He would see these planners, color-coded schedules, and hack your willpower courses for what they are. Comforting toys for people afraid of true self-mastery. He would call them what they are. Distractions dressed as solutions. The self-help prison modern discipline is emotional. It depends on mood. It depends on the right playlist, the right lighting, the right motivational video. It treats action as something you do only when you feel ready. This is not discipline. This is mood management, and moods are weak. They shift. With weather, with news headlines, with a bad night's sleep. If your discipline relies on emotion, it will collapse the moment you wake up tired, stressed, or uninspired. Real discipline, the kind Machiavelli wrote about, doesn't care about mood. It doesn't care if you slept well or if you're in the zone. It is structural. It is forged like a fortress wall, stone on stone, day after day, till it stands on its own and needs no permission from feelings to hold. The comfort trap modern advice tells you to be kind to yourself. When you fail, to celebrate small wins, to take it easy when things get hard. There is truth in compassion, but too much softness is rot. It eats away at the very structure you're trying to build. Machiavelli would tell you plainly, comfort is the enemy of discipline. The more you indulge in comfort, the less tolerance you have for discomfort, and discipline lives in discomfort. Every easy escape you take is a message to yourself. I don't have to do it if I don't feel like it. Once your mind learns that rule, it will use it against you for the rest of your life. It will whisper that you can start tomorrow. That's skipping. Today doesn't matter. This is how fortresses fall, not in one day. Stone by stone, the illusion of habit. You've heard it 1,000 times. Just build the habit, and discipline will take care of itself. This sounds smart, but it's incomplete. Are fragile. A week of travel, a bad illness, it's a shift in your schedule, and the habit is broken. Machiavelli's discipline is not dependent on habits. It is dependent on command. A soldier does not run because he has a habit of running. He runs because the order has been given and orders are obeyed. If you want true discipline, you must remove the option not to obey yourself. You must treat your own commands as law that cannot be delayed, negotiated, or excused away. Pain as the forge here is the part modern culture refuses to admit. Real discipline hurts. It is not pleasant. It is not always motivating. It is forged. In early mornings, when your body screams to stay in bed. It is forged in training sessions when your muscles burn. It is forged in work sessions when your mind wants to wander anywhere else. Every act of discipline is an act of war against weakness, and war is never comfortable. But in this war, every battle you win makes you stronger, and every battle you lose makes you weaker. There is no neutrality. You are either advancing or retreating. Why most people fail? Most people fail at discipline, not because they lack ability, but because they refuse to accept this truth. Discipline is not about feeling good. It is about doing what must be done. Even when it feels terrible, they cling to the fantasy that one day it will feel easy. That one day they will wake up and everything will align. Mood, motivation, energy, and opportunity. But that day never comes. Those who wait for it die waiting. The disciplined know the secret. There is no perfect moment. The only moment is now. You act in the rain. You act in the cold. You act in the fog of doubt. You act regardless. Structural discipline Machiavellis. Discipline is built into the bones of your life. It is not something you try on certain days. It is an operating system that runs no matter what. This means routines that are so rigid they remove decision-making. Decision is the enemy of consistency. Every time you decide, you give your mind a chance to choose comfort. Remove that chance. Wake. At the same time, train. At the same time. Work. At the same time. Eat. At the same time. Treat these not as preferences, but as laws. In the military, no one asks a soldier if he feels like showing up. He shows up because that is the order, and the order is non-negotiable. The enemy called. Negotiation. Every time you negotiate with yourself, you lose ground. Maybe I'll skip this one time becomes, I can skip whenever I want. Soon. You are no longer leading your mind, you are following it. Machiavelli would tell you, never enter into talks with the enemy. Weakness is a master negotiator. It will make every excuse sound reasonable. The moment you give it a seat at the table, it will rule the table. The disciplined person ends negotiation before it starts. The order has been given. The task is done. End of discussion. Chains before shackles here is another truth modern culture hates. Building real discipline feels like chaining yourself. You limit your options. Remove freedoms. You impose rules on yourself that others will call extreme. But if you don't put chains on yourself now, life will put shackles on you later. Without discipline, you will be ruled by debt, by poor health, by dependence on others, by regret. Discipline's chains are voluntary and temporary. Life's shackles are permanent. You choose which one you wear. Hardness as a daily ritual. Machiavelli would insist that you make hardness a part of your life on purpose, that you seek discomfort before it seeks you, that you train your body, mind, and will to act when it's hard, not just when it's convenient. This doesn't mean living in misery. It means inoculating yourself against the poison of ease. It means choosing the harder road often enough that the harder road becomes normal. It means proving to yourself daily that you can do what others avoid. Why this matters now: we live in a time of abundance, distraction, and constant comfort. That might sound like paradise, but it is the perfect breeding ground for weakness. Few people are truly tested. Few build the walls that Machiavelli would call essential to survival, and that is why. When the flood comes, when fortune turns, most are swept away instantly. They have built nothing in the calm. They have trained for nothing in the quiet. If you want to be among the few who remain standing, you must reject the modern lie. Discipline is not about feeling ready. It's about being ready. Always. Machiavelli's. Discipline is not for everyone. Will not appeal to those who want comfort first. It will not attract those looking for shortcuts. Will repel the lazy, the indecisive, the easily offended. And that is exactly why it works. Because when you remove comfort, negotiation, and excuses, all that's left is the truth. You either act or you do not. And in the war of life, only action builds the fortress. Only action forges virtue. Only action defies fortuna. The rest is noise. The general of your own life. Every day you wake up, you command an army. It is not made of soldiers in armor, nor of horses and cannons. Your army is made of your habits, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Some of them are disciplined. Veterans, sharp and loyal. Others are lazy recruits, sloppy and unreliable. And you, whether you realize it or not, are the general. If you are a strong general, your army moves as one, executing your orders with precision. If you are weak, your troops scatter at the first sign of discomfort, following their own impulses. The truth is unavoidable. You are either leading your army to victory or letting it dissolve into chaos. The Machiavellian command Machiavelli understood that a ruler who fails to control his forces will soon be controlled by them. A state without discipline collapses, not because its enemies are strong, but because its defenses are weak. The same is true of your mind. If you do not lead it with absolute authority, your own thoughts will turn into mercenaries, serving pleasure, fear, or distraction instead of your higher purpose. To be the general of your own life means treating yourself with the same rigor a commander treats his army. There are 3 pillars to this command: constant vigilance, clear strategy, and relentless reinforcement. Pillar 1, constant vigilance. General inspects his troops every day, even in times of peace. He checks weapons, supplies, morale. He searches for weaknesses before the enemy finds them. You must do the same with your own mind. Every day, without exception, observe yourself. Where are the cracks? When am I letting emotion overrule? Strategy. Where am I tolerating weakness? Do not romanticize this process. It is not about self-esteem. It is about security. Every small act of laziness is like a stone removed from your fortress wall. Every excuse is a gate left ajar. If you do not catch these breaches immediately, they will grow until the enemy, procrastination, fear, chaos marches straight through. Machiavelli would tell you that peacetime is when the most dangerous decay occurs. The absence of immediate threats lulls you into complacency. But the wise general keeps his guard high, knowing that war will return. Pillar 2, clear strategy. Weak general improvises his battle plan every morning. A strong general has already planned his moves before the battle begins. If you leave important actions to the whim of how you feel in the moment, you have already lost. The human mind, if given the choice, will always lean toward the path of least resistance. Your routines must be fixed. Wake at the same time. Train at the same time. Work at the same time. These are not suggestions, they are orders. Remove the burden of decision. Decision is the breeding ground for hesitation, and hesitation kills momentum. Consider the soldier who decides after work whether he feels like training. Most days, he will skip it. But if training is built into his day like breathing, there is no debate. It happens. Always. This is the freedom of structure. The same paradox Machiavelli understood. Strict rules create true liberty. Pillar 3, relentless reinforcement teen war. Failure has consequences. A soldier who disobeys orders is punished because disobedience spreads. If one man escapes discipline, others will follow. Soon, the army is in disorder. In your life, failure must also carry weight. This is where modern culture resists. It wants failure to be painless. But Machiavelli would tell you that painless failure is the root of collapse. You must create consequences for yourself. If you miss a commitment, there must be an immediate cost, public accountability, financial penalty, physical discomfort, loss of privilege. The mind must learn that breaking the order is unacceptable. It is not cruelty, it is survival, without consequences. The army of your habits will desert you in the middle of battle. The discipline of command being your own general means understanding. That leadership is not about constant inspiration, it is about constant enforcement. A commander does not motivate his troops by giving them a speech every morning. He motivates them by creating an environment where obedience is natural and deviation is costly. You must do the same for yourself. Remove temptations. Build triggers that force action. Make your plans so clear that there is no room for negotiation. The war of the inner battlefield, your greatest enemy, is not out there. It is inside your camp. It is the voice whispering, just this once. Skip it. You deserve a break. It is the impulse that tells you to check your phone instead of finishing the task. Left unchecked, these are mutinies. Small ones at first, but they grow. And once your troops learn they can disobey without punishment, your command is over. Machiavelli's brilliance was in recognizing that governance is not occasional, it is constant. If you want to hold the throne of your mind, you must hold it every hour, every day. Without exception, orders before the battle-wise general prepares for the fight long before it begins. He positions his troops, stocks his supplies, and fortifies his defenses. When the enemy appears, there is no scrambling, only execution of the plan. This is how you must run your life. Tease your critical actions in advance. Build them into your day so firmly that when the moment comes, there is no room for hesitation. If you wait to decide when to act, your decision will be made for you by fatigue, by fear, by distraction. Those forces will always vote against. Discipline. The cold march command is not glamorous. Most of the time is monotony. Drills, repetition, the same maneuvers over and over until they become instinct. This is why so many fail at being their own general. They crave excitement and novelty, but discipline is built in the grind, in the days when nothing feels dramatic. These are the days when you quietly strengthen your forces so that when the moment of truth arrives, you are already prepared. The ruthless standard day good general does not lower his standards to match the mood of his troops. He raises his troops to match his standard. In your life, you must refuse to accept the watered-down version of yourself. Demand more. Demand precision in your routines, clarity in your goals, and loyalty from your own mind. If you give yourself permission to operate at 80% because it's good enough, you have already invited mediocrity to take command. Victory without illusion. Do not think that victory means comfort. In war, victory often means holding the line under constant attack. In life, victory means maintaining discipline. Even when you are surrounded by chaos, the disciplined life is not free of hardship. It is simply strong enough to endure it. A fortress does not stop the storms, survives them. Your final command, understand this: you cannot be half a general. You cannot lead sometimes and relax others. Every day you are either commanding your army or watching it dissolve. Your mind is your territory. Your habits are your troops. Your strategy is your law. Rule them with precision, or they will rule you with chaos. There is no middle ground. There never was. You are the prince, or you are the prisoner. You command, or you are commanded. So rise each morning as a general would. Inspect your troops, issue your orders, enforce your standards, and march into the day with the cold, unshakable authority of one who knows that the fate of the kingdom rests on his discipline, because it does.